Legislator Updegrove.
Thank you, Chairman. When we were at the NISAC conference last week, we were apprised of the fact that the Governor's Office of Budget had implemented a tax on IDA revenues. As we all know, IDAs are created by the state of New York. IDAs derive their authority from the state of New York, and the reason that the state of New York has authorized industrial development agencies to operate throughout the state of New York is to help municipalities facilitate economic development efforts. And we lose sight of that a lot. IDAs are created by the state of New York, but what we just found out was they're created by the state of New York to help municipalities, but now the Governor's Office of Budget has decided that he is now going to tax their revenues. That is absolutely unbelievable. The operations of our IDAs and the IDAs throughout the state of New York are funded by the revenues derived from the projects that they successfully complete and close. And the state of New York is going to tax those revenues. And not only are they going to tax those revenues, which, by the way, will hamper IDA efforts, and not just in Niagara County, but throughout the state of New York. I can't begin to understand what the rationale for this is. In fact, we had we attended a work session on IDAs. Mr. Ferraro was there, and there were no answers. We had representatives from IDAs throughout the state of New York, and nobody can understand the rationale for this other than the fact that it is just another hidden tax, another mandate being passed on to the backs of the local municipalities who have no voice, literally, when it comes to the Governor's Office of Budget, because we cannot stop him from doing it, but we will complain, and we'll complain collectively. We are working with NISAC, we're working with IDAs throughout the state to talk about and to discuss the injustice of this particular tax. But this is what I find most disconcerting about this tax. And this is the one thing that we want to make sure that everyone understands. Not only is this a tax on the revenues of the IDAs, but this tax is retroactive. Unless I'm missing something, I've never heard of a retroactive tax. Think about that. It is retroactive. The Governor's Office of Budget is taxing revenues from 2008 that we were unaware of in 2008. Nobody could have budgeted in 2008 for this tax because we didn't know it was going to exist. It's like Groundhog Day. You wake up one day and you find out that you're being taxed for your success in 2008 that no one told us about. Now, we just prepared the 2010 budget. And people are going to come to us at the end of the year and say, how close were you to your budget numbers? Well, you know what I'm going to say? How am I supposed to know? Because the governor has the authority, obviously, to issue taxes or to impose taxes retroactively. So who's to say, how do we budget in 2010 for a tax that may come down in 2014? Well, that's assuming he's getting reelected, and we all know that's not happening, but that's not the point. He could still do it. And how do we budget for it? You can't. It's absurd. It's so absurd. I can't even think of words. I opened my thesaurus today to try to find words that meant absurd, and I couldn't come up with other words. This is absolutely obnoxious. Unbelievable. I can't think of any other words. I mean, it has any. You can throw
How
them
would you
out.
like a small county of 75,000 with a bill of 320,000? This is happening in New York State at the present time because of this act of the Governor's Office on Taxation. Every IDA across the state is reacting to this because the majority of them have a bill that they never thought they would have. And Legislator Updegrove made a good point. We're not only looking at 2009, we're going back for the calendar year 2008. And right here in Niagara County, our bill is probably around 220,000. But there are some counties with bigger bills than that because there are bigger counties.